YouTube, how's it going? It's Addy R back with another starter guide for Torchlight Infinite Season 10 Overrealm. And this is just going to be an update to the starter guide that I put out last season, Season 9, for Mind Control Thea 3, one of, if not the most popular League starters generally every single season. There have been a number of changes, both good and bad, for this build, but the build is still going to be an absolute banger. I still expect it to be one of the most popular builds going into the season. It's just Mind Control has a following unlike any other skill that I can think of. It's If you love Mind Control, you love Mind Control, and that is just your starter. So let me go ahead and update you on the changes, or the most significant changes to me going into Season 10, and then we'll go through and explain the build. And there will be an updated written, I do have a written guide that will be updated to include the list of all of the changes in Season 10 that I find to be the most important for you. Without further ado, let's hop into the Season 10 changes. This is going to be an excerpt from the written guide that I have just to go over the Season 10 changes that I think are going to be the most impactful. So let's go ahead and talk about them. Mind Control still continues to look like one of the best starter builds moving into Season 10. There are, however, a couple of notable changes that you should be aware of. Number 1, the Focus Core talent was nerfed, now only providing 1 max channel stack instead of 2. This is definitely a big blow going for the build. As you can see previously, the Focus used to give you 2 max channel stacks, it now gives you 1, and that is pretty impactful in regard to this skill, because if you take a look at the specifics of the skill, if you just expand that out a little bit, you'll actually see that this skill receives 21.5% additional damage for every 1 additional max channel stack. So losing that 1 max channel stack is a big blow to your damage. We do have new things coming in, mostly being the prisms to help make up and cover that difference, but just know that that is going to be the case. The second biggest change, or actually probably the first biggest change, is going to be the removal of soul candles. Soul candles, as of Season 10, will no longer exist in the game, and there's a lot of stuff we're missing there. You're missing max channel stacks, you're missing easy extra curse, you're missing easy try blessing generation. You're missing rampage candles now. There's so much that was taken away with candles, and lots of it just was not given back. So just be aware that that is the case. And number 1 and number 2 both lead into number 3 for me. So your Goddess of Knowledge slates that provide the +1 channel stacks, I expect are going to come at a very hefty premium pretty much all season. Because people will be looking to make up the lost channel stacks that we no longer can get on Focus and no longer can get on our soul candles. So just be aware of that. If you know for sure that you're gonna stick with Mind Control, maybe try to get those early if you can get them cheap. I expect those are gonna be very expensive this season. The Heart of Magic rings have been nerfed. They'll still be a solid early choice, but you're really going to want to move out of those and into properly crafted rings ASAP, in my opinion. Again, early game, like transitioning into mid game, I think they're still going to be absolutely fantastic rings to use. But with the power drop, they are definitely not going to hold that slot nearly as long. Number 5, the new prisms look to be potentially insane, and wow. Guaranteed Reaping, Escalating Affliction, and Self-Delusion all look incredibly powerful and may completely change the way that you build out this character going forward, especially the Guaranteed Reaping, giving you a reason to care about like your Spellburst stacks could completely change how you build out this character. We will see what actually becomes the most popular way to build this out in the coming days. Point number 6, many legendary items that had static rolls have been given roll ranges. So for example, Valerie's Night Stroll previously had a flat 150 damage over time. This is now a roll range of, I believe, 50 to 150. And this has been done to many legendaries. Many legendaries that had just a flat no roll on their gear have now been given some pretty large roll ranges. So just be aware of that when you're going to buy your gear. Double check, make sure, just come down here whenever you're going to go buy something. You can hit details and it'll actually pull up and show you all the roll ranges on your item. That way you're getting the best for your money. Number 7, King's Boon has had a damage nerf but a survivability buff. They will still be your go-to boots for quite a long time on Mind Control, but just be aware of that. And then lastly, The 33% Reap CDR legendary node has been removed from all talents and slates. It is no longer in the game. Late game, you'll be fine. Early game, not having the 33% Reap in your talents and also not being able to get access to the 33% Reap CDR on slates early on, you'll definitely feel that, I think. But those were the most impactful changes, in my opinion, going into Season 10. But let's go ahead and hop into the actual build guide itself. We'll go over the details of the build and get you going for your league start, shall we? All right, now before we get into the meat and potatoes of this, if you wouldn't mind, please throw a like on the channel. I would very much appreciate it. It shows me that the work that I'm doing is valued. It shows me that this is the type of content that you want to see. And if you're really rocking with the content, throw a like on the video as well. All of those things just let me know that I'm making the things that you want to see. Thank you, and I appreciate it. Let's go. Alrighty, so I've got two different snapshots of my Thea 3 mind control build that I'm going to be using to showcase how this build is going to be set up. This is a snapshot of what I used when I was able to finally get down the Traveler 7 boss. So gear, we had a Corrupted Bulwark. We were using my favorite early game cheap combo, which is the Blinding Bracers and Crow's Plume combo. This is a fantastic and often very cheap setup to get going, giving you chances for blind, chances for paralyze, giving you a little bit of movement speed and resistances. And then because you're blinding off of the Crow's Plume, you're getting additional damage dealt from the Blinding Bracers, and you're also getting reduced damage taken because of the Blinding Bracers. This is just a fantastic, super cheap setup that you can do really early on. Eternal Sea Fog tends to be pretty cheap even early on into the season, but it is fantastic because with mind control and the way that I like to build out my starter version of mind control, I care mostly about speed. I'll make some changes when I'm doing like my traveler bosses, but my main priority is speed. I only want to get just enough damage to where I don't have to stop moving through the map. Any damage past that I find is wasted, so I just shift all that into movement speed, right? Because if I have enough damage to do T8s, for example, but I'm only halfway to doing Profound, well, what is that damage actually doing for me? Instead of doing that, I can just prioritize more movement speed, farm faster, and be able to farm all the FE and items that I need to get in Profound quicker. That is how I typically approach everything in T7 and T8. Chain Behind the Curtain is a very cheap, very nice amulet, giving you some additional blur effect, giving you affliction, giving you movement speed. Works very, very well with your Eternal Sea Fog just to get you more movement speed. I was using Unholy Prayers. Heart of Magics, while good, they sometimes can be a little bit pricey on like the first day or second day. So I was just using Unholy Prayers until I was able to afford them. And when I got my Traveler 7 down, of course, I was only using T2 weapons. You don't have access to anything past that unless you buy it on the auction house. And this is what I was generally going for. You always want Reap on your weapon. You don't care what tier it is, but you want Reap on the weapon. Energy Shield is very nice, especially for Trav 7, just to make sure you don't catch any unfortunate deaths. Intelligence is a damage multiplier, flat damage, affliction, and affliction effect. And that's how I have both of these set up, right? So Reap, ES, intelligence, affliction, and erosion damage. When I did my Traveler 7 kills, I did not have any candles, which is great because we won't have any going into this season. Let's take a look at the skill setup that I was using while doing the Trav 7 kill. So we have our mind control, of course, passive evasion, guard, cataclysm, reaping agony, and then shortened duration. Just for a bit of speed, we have speed phantom and magic dash. And then we have blurry steps with prep, extended duration, and mass effect. Again, this is early on. You don't really have activation mediums or anything, so you take what you can get. I was using forced start with defensive layers because we are an energy shield build. So this is a nice little additional defense to help you not die to random things. And then of course we're using a corruption with a terrain of malice. I did not have this on prep. I chose to only activate this when I actually needed to. That way I could make sure it was up when I wanted it up. For auras, we were running Deep Pain with Restrain, Aura Amp, and Increased AoE. We're using Increased AoE, and I'll show you why in our talent tree, because of course we are in Lich to get all 4 of our auras in. We're using a Spell Amplification, again, Restrain, Aura Amp, Increased AoE. Erosion Amp. This one was put on life with Steel Conversion, with Aura Amp, Restrain, Steel Conversion. And then your Corrosion focus is going to have Restrain, Reaping Agony, and an added Fire. The reason for the added fire was so that we could ignite in the case that we were able to get rid of our Crow's Plume and upgrade to our King's Boon. That way would still have the ignite and still have the blind and still be able to use those. If you don't need this, you don't have to put it on there. Early game, you just kind of use whatever memories you can get until you can actually afford to put money into proper memories. Here I've just got movement speed with double affliction effect, pretty good. We've got some ES with attack block. The critical strike damage was doing literally nothing for me. And this was 50% intelligence with a little bit of spell block. This is the way that I would set up my hero traits going into a single boss fight. However, if I were going to be mapping, I would trade Disgraced Minister and put on Tarnished Sage. So this is your high single target setup. This is your swap for general mapping, and you need to remember that you can only change these out when you're in town. You cannot change these once you go into a map or a boss fight. You will have to leave to be able to change that. So just make sure that you are aware of that going in with your hero traits. Early on with your slates, you're kind of just looking for whatever you can get and whatever you can get for cheap. So for example, let's just go through what I've got here. I've got 8% additional life and then blur effect. I've got movement speed, and then I rolled on some injury buffer and some movement speed and just some erosion damage, nothing crazy. Affliction effect, max life. As you can see, these slates are very, very cheap. Not really much of anything going on here. We've got like one legendary. This one, you see, I didn't even roll this one out because it was so expensive, like comparatively at the time, that I was like, maybe I want to sell that later on. Again, and then like I said, I really do prioritize movement speed. So we've got the blur movement speed there, blur movement speed there, blur effect there, and then more blur movement speed. I really, really, really care about movement speed when I'm playing in T7 and T8s. For your talent choices, the talent choices that I used when I was going through T7, I went for Goddess of Deception, Psychic, Lich, and Sentinel. I just wanted the extra safety from Sentinel and a little bit of the extra damage from this. Generally, I would suggest that this Sentinel would actually be Elementalist. That way you can get the focus nodes and get the extra stacks of damage. But this is what I wanted to, just because when I was going into T7, I really wanted to make sure I just didn't have any like unfortunate deaths, because it's just kind of, sometimes you go in T7 and you're not quite ready for that boss fight and you kind of get smacked down a bit, and I just really wanted to avoid that. So that is just a choice that you can make. And remember, up until you hit level 91, so level 1 to level 90, so 2 and including level 90, your talent respecs are free. So feel free to swap things around if you need to. If you're going to be going into like a Traveler 7 bite, for example, maybe swap in some extra defenses if you feel like you need it. You can always swap them out after the fight. And then going for a little bit of progression, this is my version of the mind control build. Once we got to about 800 million DPS, so we were very, very comfortably doing T8s at this point. So as you can see, there's a couple of things that have changed. There's a lot of things that are still the same, however. Everything right here is still the same. We upgraded to our Heart of Magic rings, and then we started working on T1 weapons. So we got a partially crafted T1 weapon here. Remember, your roll of like the level reap on your weapon doesn't matter. You just need a reap. With this build, you care about the number of reaps, not so much the duration of those reaps, right? Moving on to the slates, we did upgrade. We got a nice little pedigree for Forbidden Power. When it comes to pedigrees, you kind of just take whatever you can get early on. If you can find like if you're lucky and you can find like a 2-statter for cheap-ish, I would go ahead and get that before they skyrocket, but otherwise just take what you can get, you know? And then of course, we are still prioritizing movement speed, blur, movement speed, and blur. I really like to go fast. Did I mention that? Even at 800 million in farming T8s, I still hadn't gotten to the point where I had put money into my hero memories. And of course, this is the mapping setup here that I was speaking about earlier, where Disgraced Minister is only for single target, and Tarnished Sage is going to be for your AoE and mapping. On the hero traits, you can see I did swap this back to Elementalist just so we could pick up the focus channels for that, and then we got the max channel stack here. So even with the nerf, you're still getting 2 channel stacks out of here, which is a lot of damage, on top of which you still got like the intelligence and the percent intelligence, and it's still going to be a fantastic tree. The loss of that 1 channel stack on focus does hurt, but I mean, you're still going to be an Elementalist. It is just too good of a tree. Of course, we're taking Lich. That way we can get off the beaten track. Off the beaten track essentially lets you turn your extra energy into reservation reduction for your auras, which is why we had things like the increased AoE on our auras. In the psychic tree, of course, we are going to be taking Reap Purification. It is absolutely fantastic, and there's nothing else you're going to want to take here for mind control. Going for the Reap Recovery, the Affliction, the Blur movement speed. Again, this particular node right here, 33% Reaping cooldown recovery speed, is no longer going to be here. There is, however, going to be a new set of nodes somewhere around here that will be giving you 15% additional damage on single target, which is pretty fantastic. And then Goddess of Deception, we go for Affliction, and then we go for Subtle Impact. Of course, prioritizing our damage, our movement speed, Affliction, raw stats, everything like that. When it comes to the build codes, when the season launches, I will be updating the guide immediately with a proper working build code for you to follow going into the new season. Whenever a season rolls around, old codes start to they don't function anymore. It's just how that works. So at the beginning of the season, I'm going to go into standard. I'm going to build out the code for you, and I will update that on the written guide. So be on the lookout for those updates. I generally do that before I ever start the season. So if you see me and it's like 30 minutes into the season start and I'm still not playing the game yet, that's why I've got to get everything updated for you guys. When it comes to pets, again, I just want you to know, pets, you use what you can get, right? If you've got a Bonnie, use your Bonnie. If you've got a stepsister, throw your stepsister in there. Use her. She's going to be great. If you've got Abyssal Sulking, throw Abyssal Sulking in there. If you don't, you just use what you have. That is the name of the game. That is always the name of the game when it comes to pets. If you don't know how to sort your pets, all you have to do is go over here. You're going to look for, you can come over here and look for Persistent, and that will pull up things dealing with your damage over time and your ailments. You can look for Erosion, which will pull up things like Stepsister, Ghostlight Yellow, and the Sprouting Grass, and those are generally going to be where you're looking for your damage. If you want to be a little bit more tanky, you can go into Survival and sort that way. Once again, special shout out to Hell Cavalry. I think this is a fantastic defensive purple pet. If you've got this thing at level 6, it's giving you all these resistances, it's giving you reduced damage right there, it's giving you XP, and then it's giving you a bunch of extra reduced damage here. So Hell Cavalry, shout out to that one. If you need some defenses early, this is my go-to. I almost always throw this on early in a season. Now, one of my favorite things about Thea 3 is just how versatile her skill selection choices can be. She really wants to either be doing damage over time with Erosion, Deterioration, or Wilt. Those are kind of like where she goes. So like just flat erosion damage over time, like Mind Control, or Wilt builds, or Erosion builds. And there's so many skill choices that you can use to do that, that she just really feels like there's like a lot that you can do. You can go Mind Control if you want to. You can go as Shackles of Malice as your main primary skill if you'd like to. You can go Lightning Storm. You can go Wilt with Lightning Storm. You can go Wilt with Sparkle. You can go Ice Lances. You can go you can kind of just go so many things. You can go Split Shot with the Deterioration route. The world is kind of your oyster. Just pick your favorite. Like, there's just so many skills that you can use on her that, like, even if you wind up not wanting to continue with Mind Control once you farmed up early in the season, there's just so many different options that you have that you'll probably find something that you really want to play. And of course, if this is your cup of tea, she is fantastic for pushing things like the Dragon and pushing your Showdown 20s. Even on North America, she has a ton of clears. And for those that don't know, the North American servers are the least competitive servers out of all three. As you can see, we've got a Sparkle Wilt build going right there for Season 20, Showdown 21. We've got a Mind Control build, also cleared Showdown 21. And like I showcased in the other video, the top 3 builds that cleared Showdown 21 in North America were 3 different builds. So no matter what you do, you kind of just have a bunch of options at your disposal moving into the late game with Thea 3, and you get a hot goth mommy on your screen at all times. What is there not to love? With that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video guide. I hope to see you all on Thursday when the season starts. Hope you have a fantastic season. If you've got any questions in regard to Thea 3 or just the game in general, feel free to drop a comment on the video or hop in Discord, link down below, and you can ask me directly. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.